Bartholomew Town.
There's been a lot of conversation in and around Providence lately when it comes to what I would call confusion or maybe lack of clarity about the parameters of ordinance changes around noise in the city of Providence. Welcome into Bartholomew Town. I'm Bill Bartholomew. And look, I've gotten some messages from musicians who have said that their weekly residencies have been canceled, in one particular case downtown, to comply with the potentials of a new noise ordinance. I've heard from others who have said they're kind of on the same, at least, page or wavelength of looking at some weekly gigs being canceled. And I think there's just been a lot of confusion about what this actually means. So let's go straight to the source. Providence Council President Rachel Miller joins us. Thanks so much for the time, President.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And thank you so much for reaching out, because this is one of those things that is, I think, easily clarified and hopefully will be a net positive for everyone in the city. Should I just jump in and share what the ordinance changes would actually do?
I think that's the best move. Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay. So right now, there are many zones in the city where we're talking about land use zoning, where you can't have an entertainment license of any kind. In those places, we're talking about like commercial corridors mostly, like Atwells Avenue, Hope Street, Broad Street. Right now, you can have incidental entertainment. That's what it is called in the law. We're talking about like ambient music. That music cannot be amplified in any way. So that is great if you are a harpist or a folk duo whose lead singer has a really great set of pipes. It doesn't work for really wide variety of musicians and artists that we have in our city. It doesn't. It's also not totally being followed, right? It's like hard to follow, and that also creates a hard regulation environment, right? When you're a restaurant and the guy next door is breaking the law, you're like, well, why can't I, right? So all this was meant to do was to create a path for people to be able to plug in places where you couldn't otherwise have an entertainment license. So no gig should be getting canceled, and this was not about noise, right? This is about creating a good environment both for residents, for businesses, and for musicians, ideally to create some more paying gigs for all of the incredible artists that we have in our city, and to kind of let that culture piece happen more fluently and within kind of the parameters of the law. So any place that currently has an entertainment license that has music on a regular basis, live, loud music, is not impacted by this whatsoever.
So we're talking more about, I don't want to say crackdown, because that implies that there's going to be the noise police going around, with decibel meters or whatever on a regular basis. But we're talking about a firming up of what is in some ways existing law, and now just more of a consistency when it comes to places. I'll give you one example. There's a hotel downtown that has a bar attached to it, nearby the Amica Mutual Pavilion in the convention center. And I have heard that I've seen live music there, and I've heard that they are now one of the places that is canceling a weekly gig.
Oh.
It's possible you're saying that maybe they didn't even have the correct license to begin with, and now they're seeing, okay, this new shift in the noise ordinance is happening, and now we're going to have to make adjustments to comply with that noise ordinance to the letter of the law, or what's sort of the change here in your mind?
So again, this is incidental entertainment. I would have to look. Downtown is mostly excluded from this. I would have to look at a zoning map to give you like a very plate spot by spot analysis of what's possible here. But if you were in a commercial corridor, I can say with certainty, like Atwells, like Hope, like Broad Street, and you had musicians plugging in to an outlet, that was not legal. Is not currently legal. All this entertainment ordinance would do was to make that legal, so you could plug in. It is not a noise ordinance, right? Like it doesn't. It's the noise ordinance still is in effect. But it is not a noise ordinance. So what I would say is, the main message to get out is if there are venues that are confused about what might or might not be changing, they should reach out to us. On city council, we should take that into account for the ordinance. But this is really meant to be a net positive for businesses and musicians and residents.
I saw State Senator Sam Bell complaining on Twitter, and complaining, I don't mean to say that in a pejorative sense. I mean it in the sense of offering a complaint about this, saying that, well, now residents on Federal Hill who, they've already fatigued on restaurants that have a DJ or something like that after hours. He was saying that, well, this is not what the residents deserve. Again, paraphrasing, that they deserve peace and quiet. At the same time, it's the city, it's Providence, and it's a culture.
Bartholomew Town.
You've been hearing me talk a lot about Navigant Credit Union, and for good reason. As Rhode Island's first ever member-owned credit union, Navigant Credit Union has been a staple in the local business community for more than 108 years. Today, Navigant is a $3.4 billion institution serving more than 136,000 members across 25 physical branch locations. But since its founding in 1915, the mission has never changed. Navigant Credit Union's team of financial professionals have remained committed to improving the financial well-being of the families, businesses, and communities they serve across Rhode Island. Learn more at navigantcu.org. Half Street Group brings a new generation's perspective to leadership communications, strategic public relations, and digital marketing. Half Street helps organizations and leaders take control of their own stories and manage their reputations. They get results for their clients by focusing on audience, message, and culture, and by leveraging their decade-long relationship with media and opinion leaders in the Ocean State and throughout New England. Join me and Half Street Group founder and president Mike Rea for a conversation every month about news of the day, the hottest media analysis, and a look behind the scenes at how impactful leaders drive conversations. You can learn more at halfstreetgroup.com. Bartholomew Town is brought to you in part by Newport Film. Check out newportfilm.com for all the latest screening details. Are you ready to take the next step in your career? At URI Online, we offer business and leadership-focused programs designed to fit your life. Whether your goal is to advance your career in fields like public administration, supply chain management, or training and development, our online programs provide the flexibility you need with the high-quality education you deserve. Learn from experienced faculty and collaborate with a network of professionals, all from the comfort of your home or wherever life takes you. Visit uri.edu/online to explore programs and start building your future today. URI Online. Learn anywhere with us. Hub. So how do you strike that balance when you have even typically allied state legislators that seem to be on different pages about this? And what sort of study or impact review did the council undertake in deciding how to go about this?
So this is neutral on kind of the issues that impact residents in commercial corridors. So there's this thing that happens, right, where we have pretty vibrant commercial corridors that run right through residents. Residents and businesses live next to each other. There are issues that happen because of that. And one of the things that is challenging, and I've heard a lot and had a lot of conversations with people, including in Federal Hill, where there is a business that does not care, respect the environment that they're living in, that they're operating in, that they don't give the same amount of respect to neighbors. They operate outside of the current, confines of the current law, and they just kind of do their thing. They are doing that now with recorded music. And when the city moves forward on enforcement, we very often end up in a loop where the Board of Licenses comes in and does the things that they're able to do to curtail businesses that are, operating outside of the law, not being a good neighbor. Those decisions can then be overruled by the State Department of Business Regulation. So that's a really hard climate to operate in. And I've heard some from residents who are like trying to deal with a business that just does not care, is basically a bad actor, is creating a bad climate. That's a hard situation. That situation is neither, helped nor hurt by allowing musicians to plug in and amplify music in a restaurant, because the noise ordinance remains in effect no matter what. What I do think we need to do, and we need to make sure that we have a real clarity on, is getting residents and businesses and our kind of enforcement operation on the noise ordinance, which this is not, but on the existing noise ordinance, which we're not touching here, and get them together to be able to talk about what is working and what is not working, and how we can work in better concert with the state Department of Business Regulations, so that when Providence is saying this business is operating in a way that is unsafe, this business is operating in a way that does not respect the laws of the city, the residents, there's a real path to changing that, instead of that kind of being overturned in legal proceedings. Again, I think that the note to strike is to be able to create a real environment where people can connect around meals and music and kind of creative moments on a more regular basis. I think that is kind of the beating heart of a lively city, and I think we have so much talent in Providence that supports and promotes that we ought to be able to move that forward in positive direction.
Well, I think that's going to be relieving for a lot of people, at least some of the people who have written us in the last couple of weeks here, as this has become, a thing that is floating around, not only in the specifically creative circles, but I think just the entertainment and hospitality world in general, just a little bit of uncertainty as to, the rumor mill starts churning and all of a sudden things start getting canceled, when in reality, this is just a way to uplift people. So any final thoughts on this?
My final thought is, please, if people are reaching out to you or to anyone saying, my stuff's getting canceled, I don't know what's going on, please send them to the city council office. We will happily work with them and let them know what's actually going on.
Providence Council President Miller, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Bill.
Bartholomew Town is brought to you by Navigant Credit Union, Half Street Group, the University of Rhode Island Online, and Newport Film.